Welcome. My name is Wendy Lemieux. I am the Marketing Director for the Department of Economic Initiatives in Fairfax County. On behalf of Fairfax County and the Founders Fund team, we'd like to welcome you to our webinar on the new grant program that will launch on April 10th. Today, we have a very informative program for you that will last about 15 to 20 minutes or so, and it will be followed by questions. So if you have questions as you're thinking of them, feel free to put them in the chat, and we will get to everybody at the end, as many as we can before we're done. In addition, we will put this in the online links. We have a email address that you can request information about. And of course, you guys have all seen the website, which is full of all kinds of details about this program. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Edda Nahapetian. Among other things, Edda is the architect of one of the architects of this program, along with our staff members, Jamie Gaucher and Miriam Conley. And Edda's going to walk you through all of the details of this program. And really, when you get done, I think you'll be almost as much of an expert as we are. So Edda, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Hi, everybody. Again, I'm Edda Nahapetian.
Oh, you can
Wendy,
hear, okay.
you can't hear me? If anyone cannot hear me, raise their hand. Okay, Wendy, hopefully it'll work. That is so bizarre.
Wendy, it's my issue, not yours. Go ahead.
Yes, she's got the strangest technical problems all the time. It's very weird. She has this poltergeist in her computer. That's what happens. So again, as Wendy mentioned, if you have any questions as we go along, now I'm hearing an echo, please drop them in the chat. And as Wendy mentioned, we also have Miriam Connolly and Jamie Gaucher, who are also on the Fairfax Founders Fund team, and they will be answering questions as we go along. Let's go on to the next slide. So today's plan is that we're going to be giving you a little bit of background on the project, provide an overview of the project, and talk about some of the specifics around eligibility, what are the eligible use of the funds, and what the process is, and some of the measures that we're going to be tracking as we go forward to measure the success of the program. So a little bit of background of why we're doing this. This program is in response to the lack of early stage capital for companies that are trying to get off the ground. We wanted to provide a leg up for companies, hopefully, such as yourselves, who are trying to start something new. Companies that in this early stage they're the job creators, and we're looking to support those companies. And we also want to provide support, partnerships, resources to companies who are in that early stage, using the funds as a tool to kind of connect with companies to help them, so we understand what the world is looking like, and to help them connect with some of the resources that are already available in the county, in the region, and in the state to help make you successful. So actually, I would like to ask if folks can drop in the chat, how many folks here are actually early stage companies versus people in the support organizations? Maybe as we're kind of going through, as I'm going through the material, if you can drop in the chat just a little bit about, just so we understand who is in the audience. And a little bit about the funding that we have. Awesome, great. I'm going to be so distracted because I'm so excited to meet with you all. Be like, oh, so cool! We've got some early stage founders there. So yeah, the program has been funded by the county for a total of $1 million, and some of that is going to be used for administrative expenses. We're anticipating that the grants will be in the $10,000 to $50,000 range. And again, some of our goals is, we really want to bolster the economic development of the county. We want to promote the resources and the advantages of the county. We want to promote economic mobility. The county, we have a One Fairfax policy that's around providing support to everyone in the community. And though this grant program is not limited to just underrepresented founders, we really are trying to reach and target underrepresented founders because historically they've had less access to capital, and the pandemic has made it even more difficult for women, people of color, folks with disabilities, veterans. So those are the folks traditionally don't have the resources, and we want to make sure that we're targeting and reaching those folks. Next slide, please. So a little bit about the eligibility requirements for the fund. We're asking for applicants to be for-profit companies that are located or headquartered in the county. And we're looking for early stage. So the way we're defining early stage is to have had less than $500,000 in investment so far in your company, and no more than $250,000 in gross revenue in the last 12 months. The thought behind that being that if you have more than that, then you perhaps have the resources to fund that $10,000 to $50,000, those funds yourselves. The company needs to be product focused, scalable, eligible for institutional investment, something disruptive that has the capability to be a fast growing company. And we're asking that the companies provide a match, such as a salary or other expenses that you're already spending on the company. And I just wanted to mention just something when we're talking about Fairfax County, we're excluding, it includes the town of Herndon, in Vienna, but it excludes the city of Falls Church, does not include the city of Fairfax, it does not include the city of Alexandria. So the eligible use of funds, we're trying to be very open and how these funds can be used however way your company needs to kind of grow and reach the next level. Primarily, though, I mean, the most important thing to know is that the funds need to be used for a specific milestone. So at the end of the day, once you've spent the funds, there needs to be something we can say that a tangible thing that was completed as a result of the funds. So perhaps a product or prototype development. You know, you are going to go to some kind of conference, and you're going to have customer acquisition at the end of the conference. You're developing market intelligence. You're doing some business model validation, a pilot project. You are paying an attorney to develop your IP strategy, that kind of thing. So that's the important thing to remember, is that at the end that there needs to be something in your application that shows that these are the milestones that you're going to be reaching with the funds specifically. So some of the considerations to keep in mind, of course, applicant needs to be in good standing with Fairfax County and the Commonwealth. The county is not going to take any ownership stake. These are grants. We will not take any ownership stake in the company or in the equipment that you perhaps purchase as a result of this. We will ask that you provide reporting over the time period during the grant, but also for 5 years after the completion of the grant. We want to understand the success of the program by understanding by the success of your company. And if an applicant leaves Fairfax within or during the 24 months after the period of the performance date, so whether you leave during the period of the performance or 24 months after the period of performance, then there will be a prorated amount that needs to be sent to be given back to the county. So how to apply? Applications open April 10th. There will be an online link for the application. And it closes on May 22nd at 5 p.m. So this is the first time that the county has ever done anything like this, and so we're hoping that we'll be able to show the success of the program and have future iterations of it. But we're hoping with the funds that we have that we will have at least a minimum of 2 cohorts. We want to learn from the process. So we're anticipating that we'll spend about $500 roughly into grant funds, up to $500 in the first round, and then come back again in the late fall with another round. We're hoping that we'll be able to, if folks aren't ready to do the application this round, we would like to be able to provide some opportunity for growth so companies can be ready for the next round. So for example, we're having a very strong partnership with ICAP. Some of you all may have been part of ICAP. Maybe perhaps like a raise of hands if folks are familiar with ICAP. We may ask, for example, that if you haven't gone through ICAP, that you go through ICAP and then come back in the next round. That's one of the scenarios that we're anticipating. Great, thank you for the hand raise. Applicants can, as you're going through the process, you will be able to. We do have an application that's available right now on the website if you want to take a look at the questions and start preparing. And you could use that as a worksheet and then to prepare your responses, and then the actual full application will be exactly the same. And we're anticipating that folks that are not eligible will be notified, and we will provide some feedback, hopefully get you to a point where you perhaps can be eligible or provide you with resources in the community that can be helpful to your company. So a little bit on the review process. We are working with a grant administrator. Actually, our grant administrator is VIPC, who they are also the administrator for the Commonwealth Commercialization Fund. They will be doing that first step of review for eligibility. And then the second step is the Department of Economic Initiatives, which is the department that we're a part of, will be evaluating eligible applications for completeness and demonstrating that we're doing that next level of ensuring that the applications are complete and that are aligning with our program goals. And then for the third stage, we'll be engaging with a group of advisors in the venture capital space or subject matter experts that will evaluate the applications for us. And there will be actually a pitch that will be happening in conjunction with those with that process to the advisors to help us make the final decision. So just a little word on the subject matter experts that we're working with. They include angel investors, venture capitalists, accelerators, large businesses that have innovation arms such as Dominion Energy and Mason and the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority. The Fairfax County Economic Development Authority is a partner in this and a strong partner with us, and actually the funds will be, the checks will actually ultimately be made through the EDA. Next. So a little bit more detail on the timing. So I just wanted to remind everyone, this is the first time that the county has been doing something like this. So we wanted to make sure there's some level set understanding of how long it will take. This isn't the kind of thing, if you need the money for something that's happening 2 weeks from now, this isn't the source really for you. It's going to take us a few months to go through the process. Applications are accepted through the 22nd. It's the 22nd, and on June 8th, the first stage application review will begin for us. That will up until that point, we're going to have that eligibility check happening. And through July, we'll be connecting with our advisors, and we're anticipating that we'll schedule pitches with our advisors in July and August. And the award letters will go out in July through the end of the summer. And then there may be some back and forth as we finalize the milestones and get the grant agreements signed. And then we're anticipating that the grant funding will begin in the fall of 2023. So I'm wondering if there's any questions, but I'll finish the slides and then we'll circle back with questions. So just tracking and reporting. FYI, these are the measures that we are going to be asking from grant recipients to share with us. Yes, we'll come back to that. And actually, Miriam can drop some of the questions in there. Yeah, please go ahead and drop any questions that you have in the chat as we're going through. So the company measures, the company level measures, these are things we want to understand how your company's doing. How are you doing as you go through? There's all different kinds of ways that we can measure success, and here are some of them. You know, are you creating sales and revenue? Have you hired folks? Have you gotten additional grants? Have you used Fairfax Founders Fund grant funds to leverage other sources of funding? Have you developed your product? Have you developed some IP? Have you expanded your footprint in Fairfax County? So the last slide is just a little bit a link to our website and also the email. If you have any questions after this, is the Fairfax Founders Fund at fairfaxcounty.gov. So let's open it up to questions.
In case you can't, I'll read it. Amit asks, when is the eligibility check performed? Time of application submission, application deadline, or the award time?
The eligibility will be happening in the very first stage. So that's going to be basically from the May 22nd to June 8th. That's when the eligibility check happens. If we have any questions, if there's something that's not clear, we may follow up and ask some questions, maybe in the June timeframe. But the initial check is going to be conducted in that first few weeks after the grant applications are completed. And actually, I will say that as the applications are being submitted, there'll be some real-time checking happening. So the eligibility could be happening. You know, if you submit on April 10th, then we'll start the eligibility right away.
Okay, so yeah, thank you for answering that question. So, and sorry, I missed that in the slide, but is the eligibility $500,000 of funding and $250,000 in revenue, or is it a or?
It's and yeah, so 500,000 of friends and family or angel or just total kind of investment that you've gotten from folks so far, and then the 250 in revenue in the last 12 months. So it's two separate things.
But both conditions have to apply for you to be eligible. Is that?
Yes, that's true. Yes.
Okay, so just to put a nail on it, like, so if we got $1 million in funding, but we still have $50,000 in revenue, we would still be eligible. Is that correct?
I guess then you still would not be eligible because you would have received.
Okay,
because
that's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for the clarification. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if we exceed 500,000 in funding, then we have,
yes,
and that would have to be done by the time of submission. So if we apply for this next week, is that date by next week, or is it in May?
Yeah, by next week. I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
The application will be considered as what you write on the application. So at the time of submission, you will be asked those questions, and it will be evaluated by the people looking at it in that point in time.
Got it. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much.
I mean, you're asking a theoretical question. So let's say you apply on April 10th, but we don't look at your application until May 2nd, and you have some big announcement that happened on April 30th. I mean, I suppose we will see that.
Well, yeah, that's exactly the scenario. Like, the funding can be kind of you don't know when something actually pops.
Right.
So,
right.
I'm just wondering if that disqualifies us if something happens. Like, I mean, it's still positive in both directions.
Right. I mean, we'd be thrilled if that happened. That would be amazing. Yeah. That would be wonderful. But yeah, I'll just find it as Wendy said, it's the point in time at your application.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we have 20 some odd of you here. Other questions, other thoughts? Don't make it easy on her. Come on.
I know. Well, I'm trying, well, maybe, I wonder if I can look at the chat. So do we have a lot of early stage founders?
We do.
Yeah. All right, so do have some folks, so one thing I would like to, I also kind of touched on, we like when folks have been through ICAP or who have been through other incubator or accelerator programs. Have folks been through those programs? I'm curious if folks have any thoughts on that.
Etta, while they're entering, Kimberly's asking if we can elaborate on the match.
Yes, absolutely. So, so the matching, it could be your time. I think a lot of the times we're anticipating it's going to be sweat equity, the time that you put in, that you're putting in. So you can say, well, I'm applying for $25,000 and I anticipate that my salary this is my hourly rate roughly. And so I'm contributing my time. Yes, this is being recorded and we will be putting this on the website. It could be, let's say you want to go, you're planning on going on, you want to go to a conference where you're trying to do some customer acquisition and maybe you're matching the travel. You're saying, I'm applying for the hotel, but I paid for the plane ticket, that could be an example. So we're trying to be fairly liberal, but we are asking the matching be happening in the time period of the grant. So yes, thank you, Miriam. That's very helpful. Miriam dropped in the details on the match. Does that answer your question? Is there something more specific, Kimberly, about the match?
Raymond has his hand up. Raymond, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Yeah. I was looking at the timeline slide and I just had a clarifying question based on the previous question that Amit just asked. Would it be important in our application to ensure that whatever milestone we're trying to achieve coincides with that fall 2023 time period? Because I think you also mentioned, Etta, in regards to, don't request the funds for an objective that you're trying to hit right now. It should be requested for whatever strategic objective you're trying to hit around that specific time frame. Is that a correct understanding? Thank you.
Let me see if I understand the question. So so you're saying should the milestone start in fall 2023? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't have to start right at fall 2023, but some point after fall 2023. And we're I think what we have in the grant agreement is that you roughly have about 2 years to complete, but we think maybe we're anticipating that, oh, this is the kind of thing, maybe you can get it done in 6 months kind of thing. It could, it could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, depending on the circumstance and what it is that you're trying to do. So it doesn't have to be right at fall of 2023, but at some point nearly after. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be providing, once you get a grant approval, we'll be providing 40% of the grant funds right away. So, and then once you've reached one or more of the milestones, or you've spent the 40% and you're ready to get for the second half, then you show, as part of your report, you demonstrate, this is what I've reached so far, this is what I've done, these are the milestones that I've reached, and then you get the remainder of the money. So I don't know if that also kind of helps or not.
I'm guessing yes, he took his hand down and was unmuted himself. Hang on a sec, someone's in my way here. I think that Eric says, what's the expectation for the duration of the project grant? Eric, I'm assuming you're talking about your project, or are you asking what the duration of the grant program is?
The grant program.
So we're
I think you answered the question.
Yeah,
6
okay.
months, 12 months, 2 years.
Yeah.
That's fine. Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks.
And then Kimberly followed up with what's the performance of the grant, which you've also answered. So that seems to be a good one. right, let's keep going. The 24-month, oh, wow, POP. Will there be any continuance of the funding after 24 months? Showing my ignorance, I don't know that I know what POP is.
You mean period of performance, I think? So the 24 months, will there be continuance of funding? In what sense? Like probably when we develop the grant agreement, I think we'll be anticipating that as Marion popped in, it'll be 6 to 12 months, maybe your particular project, maybe 2 years. And if there's some circumstance that you need to go beyond that time period, then we would circle back and we would talk and maybe perhaps amend the grant agreement if we needed to, or change the terms of the grant. But there wouldn't be, at this point, we wouldn't have like additional funding, if that's what you mean. Is that, if I'm understanding your question? Yes. Okay, great.
Anybody else? Other questions, thoughts?
So this is Eric again. So you mentioned that there's only going to be 2 cohorts right now, essentially this cohort, and then there'll be one towards fall, spring timeframe. Well,
in my dream of dreams, we would have 4 cohorts, you know, but I think, you know, I think we're thinking that if we have a lot of really good applications, that it would be hard to say no, you know, because with, you know, with 4 cohorts, and we have 4, you know, that much more time to learn, and folks to get into the pipeline. But I think realistically speaking, we think that there's probably a lot of good applications out there, and so that's why we're saying 2 cohorts. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I have a question actually that came to me a different way, asking what kind of technologies are we focusing on?
Well, we're being technology agnostic here. You know, we started out by creating a list of technologies, and the list was just getting exhaustive. So we are not defining the technologies. You know, we're just defining it by saying it needs to be innovative, creating something new in the market. It needs to be a product company versus a service, something that has the potential to be a fast-growing company. It's got the potential to get institutional investment. That's what we're talking about.
So the question, go ahead, I'm sorry, finish up, follow up.
Go ahead, Eric.
Sorry. So do you factor in social impact?
It's tough, but no, we're not at this point. We certainly have social impact on many of our other innovation projects. You know, our social impact is by trying to get the word out to underrepresented founders. But no, not at this time.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Char is asking the question about, she has the question about the 2 products. She has 2 products. Does she need to apply for 2 separate grants, which we addressed directly in the FAQs, but go ahead.
I have 2 different ideas I'm bringing to. Okay, do I need to apply? So actually, Miriam, I think we answered it well in the FAQ. If we could drop it in there. But basically, if you are one company, then it would, you know, we're only going to give grants to one company. Am I saying, and I'm looking to everybody, the team, to also give me a head nod if I'm answering this question correctly, because we kind of went around a couple of rounds on this. So yes, I would suggest, Jamie, you're popping in there.
Yeah, thank you. For clarification, you can submit as many applications as you want. You will not receive more than 1 award. So it really goes to how serious you are about each individual project. If you, at the end of the day, boil this down to you have 2 viable products and 2 viable innovative companies, you still will not receive more than 1 award.
Someone
Thank
else
you.
said, we have had a couple of questions about the recording. We don't know who you guys are. I can see your names, but I can't tell how to reach you. This will be posted on the website. So if you want to hear it again, if you want to send it to someone else, that's how you'll find it. It will be on there. If you look at the top, it will be up there under recorded webinar.
I see a question from Kimberly. Any issues if you're raising capital right now? No, I mean, I think that's wonderful. I really hope you get it. But we're just at the time of the application, we're asking that you not have raised more than 500 so far.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
And we're actually hoping, one of the things we're hoping is that folks, if you do get the money from Fairfax Founders Fund, that perhaps it's some leverage for you to help with your capital raise.
This is Eric again. Did you mention kind of a complementary nature between you guys and CCF, Virginia CCF?
Yes, I mean, there's multiple ways, but one is that we are using them as our back office grant administrator. But on a separate note, we are hoping that there could be some synergy there where you could use Fairfax Founders Fund as a match for CCF, or you could use CCF as a match for Fairfax Founders Fund. I mean, the grants that we're providing are on the smaller scale than what CCF applies, and I think we had envisioned kind of a continuum. As Jamie always says, the venture capital superhighway, that we had envisioned a continuum of, this is essentially pre-seed money, and then perhaps that would give you some leverage to get CCF money or SBIR money, et cetera, and hopefully, VVP money, if folks are familiar with that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Going once? Well, you guys, I think this has been a tremendous discussion. Thank you so much for your questions. Thank you for being here. I can speak for the group that has put this on, that we are super excited to have you guys on board. Can't wait till you start applying and we see the fascinating work that you're doing. We will, as I mentioned, we are going to post this on our website. There is an opportunity to ask questions. There is an email address, which we've put in the chat, and it is on the website. And then, of course, there is a huge list of FAQs. As we update the FAQs, you may notice that this is updated. So if someone asks us a question, we have to refine it. It will show us changed. And that's how you'll know there's a difference. So if anyone else doesn't have anything else, I'm going to say thank you for your time today. And we will see you all starting April 10th.